Hey sis.
Hey sis.
Hey y'all. Welcome back to my channel. This is Aman Yisrael. And we are doing a series here with Aman and Wanda.
Hello.
And you can go follow her at Diaspora Connect. So we're just gonna hop right into it. So I was just talking to Wanda recently, and we were discussing things like gender roles and more so of what provision is and what women are like discussing nowadays. So provision has been the topic a lot lately, and we've been talking about 50-50 and what men are supposed to do when it comes to provision. I know in my generation that a lot of the women are saying things about like going 50-50 with a man and how they don't expect to be doing so much work and going 50-50. They believe that 50-50 is half of the bills and, you know, helping out with household work. So I wanted to talk to Wanda a little bit about how she felt about 50-50 and what provision looked like in her day and age.
Okay, so I'm a 70s baby, y'all. You know I don't look like it, but I am. I'm a 70s baby. And so when I was growing up, you know, men used to use money or finances to attract women. Mm-hmm. And so now I have the younger people saying around Aman's age that women love money. Women love money. Well, it's kind of confusing because men used to use money back in the 70s. Well, when I was growing up, men used to use money to attract women. Mm-hmm. Now men are saying that women love money. So I'm confused. I'm like, which way is it? A man needs money to provide for a family. So therefore, if a man wants a wife and he wants to get married, he is the provider, and that should be a given, a known thing that a man is a provider. Therefore, if he marries a wife, he has to provide for her roof, shelter, food, etc. She leaves her parents' house and she is joined to him, and they become one. So he assumes the role as somewhat of her father. So yes, he does have to have finances. He has to have money to be able to provide for her. So it's kind of confusing in that men are saying that women love money. No, you have to have money if you want a wife. It's just the bottom line. You can't be broke and think that you can marry a woman and not provide for her. You have to, as a man, provide for your wife or the woman that you marry, period, point blank. Now, if you guys decide that you want to do 50-50, if you decide that you want to split the bills, that's something that you guys should discuss, but it shouldn't be a demand on the woman to where she's the sole provider or that she has to help you 50-50. Yes, you can talk about it and you can agree to that, but it shouldn't be a demand that, you know, she must provide and she must pay all the bills and she must go 50-50 from a man's it shouldn't be a demand from a man to a woman. It should be an option for her. Like, you are my helper, so yes, you can pay 50-50. We need you to pay 50-50 or whatever. So I think it's the mindset now different from how it used to be. The men think differently, and I think in that aspect in relationships we're getting a little bit off. Yeah. Because it's just, even in the biblical scriptures, a man has to be able to provide for a wife that he takes. So if you're financially not able to provide for a wife, then maybe it is not that time for you to get married. And if you did get married, then you need to work hard on trying to be that provider for your wife and for your family in whatever way. And all the demands shouldn't be on the woman. And then people get upset with the women because they just require to be provided for a house, clothing, food, shelter. That's not a woman loving money. That's provision, like she needs this. So yeah,
I agree. Even though with my generation things are shifting, I think, you know, the standard in Wanda's generation is more biblical. Like, they look to, you know, a man being the household provider. And that's what the scriptures does say. The scripture does state that a man that does not take care of his own household is considered an infidel, and is as if he denied the faith altogether. And also, too, we also see in the scriptures that a woman leaves her father's house, and she's now under the care of that man. So when we talk about biblical, I feel like your generation kind of got it more right than our generation. my generation. I feel like we're getting away from that. So I guess I have to ask also too, what do you feel about women's and 50-50? Like, what does 50-50 look like? And I know it's hard asking you because that's not the type of dynamic that your generation comes from. But what will 50-50 look like to you from a woman, and a man splitting the load? What does that look like equally?
Right. So if we're talking about 50-50 in a relationship, now the views on this channel, and I'm going to say this, and this is a Mine's channel, but the views on this channel are our opinion. We're not professional psychologists, psychiatrists.
We just talking, y'all.
Yeah, we're just chatting. This is our personal
tea.
views. Tea time. So wanted to put that disclaimer out there. This is not etched in stone. This is not written law. It's just our personal opinions. But in terms of 50-50, I would say 50-50 is you jumping in, doing whatever needs to be done, wherever you need to do it. So, for example, there could be a time in a relationship where the husband loses his job and he's the provider. So the woman may have to jump in that role as a sole provider until he gets on his feet and until he is able to, get back to where he was. Or even if he doesn't, a woman may make more than a man. So I wouldn't, for me personally, I want to say like 50-50 draw the line, because it's never going to be 50-50. It's hard to break all the bills up 50-50. It's like the women may make more than the man, so it may not be 50-50, or the man may make more than the woman and he needs help, so it may not be 50-50. So the so-called 50-50, the 50-50 rule, whatever you call it, in relationships, I wouldn't subscribe to that so much. I think it's based on what each person has and what they can contribute to the household. So if the woman makes more than the man, then she may say, you know what, since I make more, let me go ahead and pay the rent, since it's more. And you pay the rest of the bills. And then you do, then he knows to do all the other stuff. So it may be a situation like that. I mean, all the money in the relationship belongs to both people. But I don't feel like either person should say that either one loves money. Like, money, you need money to live. You need money to sustain yourself. You need money to survive. You have children. Like, you cannot live without money. So if that's the case, everybody loves money. I mean, that's, I just hear some men say that about women. Now, if she's a gold digger outside of your relationship and if she's not your wife, that's one thing. But if it's your wife, it should never be at a point where a man would say she loves money, unless she's just really frivolous with money or whatever. But if it's his wife, then it's okay if she needs money for stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about that.
I agree. I feel like social media has like exacerbated everything and make it seem like it's just, women are requiring so much money and have these unattainable demands for men. So a lot of men feel like they don't make enough money to even have a woman. And most women, I'll speak for general, most women don't ask for a man to be rich, because most women know that's not realistic for the average man. Most women just, want men to be providers, whether that be with what, a $40,000 a year job, or even they don't really care about the position. They just, want a man to be a provider. I think with my generation, this whole high value man, high value woman thing came into play, where, men are being required or asked to have six figures. And that's something that I feel like social media kind of pushes out. Not that that's the reality and what we're dealing with. We know the reality in that men don't make, the average man don't make $100,000 a year. We know that. So asking that, I just feel like that's not realistic. I think social media is just making these things worse than what it is.
Yeah, I agree. Ooh, excuse me. Ooh, excuse me, y'all. Sorry about that. Ooh. You know how that come. Ooh. But yeah, I do agree with that. Social media has a big influence over our relationships and a lot of things we do. So we have to be careful and have discernment in the advice that we take from social media, that we get offline from other people. It make sense, and especially if you are following the biblical scriptures. And that advice should be, I mean, everything we need to have a solid relationship, to survive, to thrive as a nation of people is in the biblical scripture. So if it doesn't kind of line up with some of the, patriarchs in the Bible, or some of the situations that in the Bible, or the commandments and laws and statutes, then you should kind of know, discernment wise, what you should follow and what you should listen to, what you should incorporate in your relationship dynamic and how you manage your household. We all know the basic foundation, if you follow the biblical scriptures, that the man is the head and the woman is the helpmeet or the helper. So with those principles and that foundation, I feel like we should base our relationships and our lives off of those foundations. The man, you have, the Most High God, some people call him the Most High, and then you have Christ, and then you have the man and the woman and the children. So that, in that order, you base your relationship, how it functions, how the finances go, whatever, based off that order. If the man is following Christ, then, the woman is following the man, and so forth and so on. And then the man is the head. So the woman, it's okay for a woman to, it's not a sin or it's not wicked for a woman to depend on a man to provide for her. Mm-hmm. It's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes the newer, younger generation, I think I've heard some men on Facebook kind of demonize women who expect man to pay the rent. That's the basic foundation of what a man should do. Mm-hmm. And it's not unreasonable, in my opinion, for a woman to expect her husband or a man that she's want to marry or whatever, to be able to provide a roof over her head. That's the base that a man should do. You may not have a car or whatever, but a roof, a house, is where is she going to live when he marries her? Yeah. So that is something that we need to really go back and visit that basic foundation of what a man should do for a woman, especially if he wants to marry her. He should be able to provide a roof. If she has a roof, that's different. They can move in or whatever. If he has a house, she does, then you talk and you can consolidate. But the bare minimum should be for a man, especially if he wants to get married. He should at least be able to provide the lady with a place to live. And that's not unreasonable. That's not a gold digger. That's not wicked for a woman to expect her husband to provide her shelter.
I agree. I feel like the conditions of how things have been for us as a community for so long, and how women have been put in the positions to, have a higher salary than men. I feel like men kind of have gotten a little comfortable, dare I say it, but a little comfortable with how things have been. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily the order that the Most High established. Like Wanda said, Most High didn't set the woman up to be a provider. He just set her up to be a helper. So she assists the provider in the things that he needs, but at the end of the day, he is the sole provider. So it's just, I guess we're trying to shift and go back to what the Most High says, rather than what we have been conditioned to be like because of circumstances and curses.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I know it has a lot to do with the thinking and the mindset. You have to reprogram or reevaluate how you think. Like, think about it deeply and understand, like, if your thinking is off, if you're thinking about the role of the woman. Because I know a lot of men, especially in the African American, Hebrew, Negro, Bantu, in America specifically, because that's where I'm from, that's where we're from. A lot of them, tend to say that women shouldn't lead, and they shouldn't be like a preacher or, bishop, and hold those high positions, which the scriptures does say that they shouldn't be over a man in that aspect. But then at the same time, by the scripture bringing out the fact that a woman has a role and she shouldn't hold those roles, it's the same with us requiring certain things from the men. They should be a provider. They should provide the root. Same thing where, a lot of men say, she shouldn't preach, or certain women shouldn't be pastors. The same thing we say with men, you should provide the roof. And it's not negotiable, especially when you want to marry a woman and you want to make her your wife. You agree to jump in that role as a provider, to take care of her. It's like she's leaving her mother and father's house, and she's coming into your home, into your life, and she's your helper. She's gonna, have your children, etc. So you have to at least know that when you say I do, that that woman is going to require you to provide for her, especially a roof, food, shelter, and all that, but especially a roof. So we have to go back to that, because a lot of men, I'm sorry, but the younger generation, and I hear them, they think that's kind of unreasonable, and I kind of confused about that. I know I'm older and I'm kind of old-fashioned, that they may say, but I don't feel like I am. I feel like that's just the basis from what a basis for what a man should do if he wants to get married. You have to provide a place for her to live, and even in the biblical scriptures, most of the patriarchs in the biblical scriptures, they did that. If you read a lot of the stories, they had a place. If they took a wife, they had a place for her to live. So we have to get back to the ancient, olden days, or at least go back to the biblical scriptures if you don't know, as a man, you know, how to, not that I'm talking to men, but I'm just saying in general, as a man or a woman, if you don't know what your role is in the relationship, it's a lot of stories in the biblical scriptures that explain how our ancestors, forefathers, when they got married, how their relationships were, what they provided, and all that stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely. And if we want to talk about balance, because everything Wanda said about the biblical scripture is what brings us balance. We've been so imbalanced for the longest. So, you know, I do often see men complain about women in their masculinity. And, you know, her stepping outside of being a helper and into a provider role that wasn't set up for her to be like, that breeds something out of her that's not natural, which is, you know, that masculine, you know, assertiveness. These are things that does come about when too much pressure is added in her role. And I know it's like that vice versa too. If a man is not in his role and he's made to be like a woman, it makes him like effeminate, because we're just not in the proper roles. So this is another thing to look at too. If we look at the imbalance that's going on within the household, and if a woman is a provider and she seems more masculine, this is the thing why. This is why, and this is how we correct it, by switching back to how the Father has things to be established.
Right, I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. So we talked about this, and a lot of the tea talk that we're going to present to you when we meet. We talk and discuss and decide which topics would be beneficial and helpful for those listeners. And this is a major topic that we felt like needed to be chatted about, you know. No pressure or anything, but it's just something for all of us to think about, whether you're male, female, that we just all have roles. And that's one thing I've learned living in Africa. And yes, we are in Africa, Mama Africa. So living in Africa, the roles of the man and the woman are established a lot here, and they know their roles. It's not a question of is the man going to provide? Does he have to? Is the woman going to cook? Is she going to clean? Is she going to, you know, wash clothes or do her feminine mother wifely duties? It's known that it's going to happen because they've been both have been raised that way.
Right.
So it's something that we can learn from them, in that they don't have gender debates or wars or arguments with each other, because each person, they're comfortable in their role as the husband or the father or the male, and then the wife, the female. They all both have roles, and they're not fighting each other for each other's role. They know what it is, and they walk in that, and they have a lot of peace. Like, I never hear them arguing or having gender wars or anything, because everybody knows their role. When you know your role, there won't be an issue, because everybody, you know, is in there. Everybody's in their role, and I don't want the male's job. I don't want to be the sole provider. I don't want to make all the rules. I don't want to, you know, have to make hard decisions all the time. Like, I would prefer that my husband does that. And, you know, I'm not married, but soon, one day, I'm going to, you know, do that. But right now, I used to be married, but right now, I'm not. So I'm just saying, I would prefer my husband to take on the male role in the family, because I don't feel as comfortable in that role. I have to do it sometimes, like as a single parent, or if you're a single person, you have to just do everything. But it's nice that when you get married that you have a person that can handle all that and you can kind of relax. A lot of times with us as African American women, Bantu, Hebrew, of African descent, diaspora, we tend to have to hold all these roles, and then it can get kind of confusing trying to get back into when you get married or whatever, trying to get back into your feminine role.
Yeah.
and be that feminine woman when you're so used to handling everything.
Right.
So that's a struggle for us, but it's nice if we have a man that would jump in that role that will help us out even to get back into our feminine role.
Right.
To where he's handling everything, so we don't have to worry about the bills and the roof and the food and all that stuff. Or even if we had to worry about the food, we can manage the food because a lot of times we cook or
Right.
whatever. So it's the relationship dynamic. It's all about the thinking, the mindset that needs to change, and hopefully we'll have more conversations like this as African Americans, Bantu, Hebrews, that we will discuss this more so we can learn to be in those feminine roles, to love our husbands love us, and respect each other. So yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. And this is a conversation that is open to you all as well. Like, we love to hear your thoughts. You know, we converse about these things, and we're just bringing it to you to open a conversation up for us to discuss these things because they're important and they're happening within our community. And hopefully we can grow from there. So I think that's it. I think that's all. We thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You please like,
Share and subscribe.
share, and subscribe.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Hit on the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever we do a new series, whenever Amanda does a new hair video. She's doing hair videos too. And whenever she has new content and we come together and we chat, yeah, you'll be notified. So please don't forget to hit on the notification bell. Share this video with people. And I know it's her channel, but I'm just plugging it. Share this video with other people who may be interested in this topic or this conversation. You
Yes.
feel like it may help a brother, a sister in a relationship, or single women or whatever. You can share the video and yeah.
Alrighty, y'all. We out.
Okay.
Deuces.
Deuces. Bye.